Hey folks, welcome to Unqualified, the fantasy football podcast that's been proofreading Antonio Banderas' essays for his college papers since 2017. I'm your producer, Rob Diesendorf, here with Sean Brady and Scott Johnson, two fantasy football rivals that have been best friends with Antonio Banderas since 2017. I'm your producer, Rob Diesendorf, here with Sean Brady and Scott Johnson, two fantasy football rivals that have been... help!
Is your brain overloading right now? I'm surprised you didn't get our last names wrong.
I'm tired.
Also, your hair looks crazier than last week, if that's possible. Remember I said that comment? You look like the scientist from Back to the Future. You look
I've been
crazier.
putting in OT.
We look like that guy, Gary what?
Gary Coleman. Yeah.
Everyone look him up.
I get that a lot.
Side note, did you mean to switch it to Antonio Banderas, or... I mean, I'm kind of...
No, that's just what came out.
Okay. I was going to say, like, I feel like that would be a pleasure, proofreading that guy's essays and tweets, but...
Yeah, probably.
The other Antonio, on the other hand, Scott, I don't know if you're in on the Antonio Brown, Billy Madison experience.
I don't know if I am. You care to explain it? Also, it's Gary Bussey, not Gary Coleman, Rob.
Busey.
I would imagine...
Gary Busey.
Busey.
I would imagine that Antonio Banderas has...
Foyer?
like, amazing handwriting.
Yeah.
Foyer handwriting.
Like, it looks like
calligraphy.
looks like a typewriter. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Am I going into this Antonio Brown thing now? I guess I have to.
Oh, please. Yeah.
So he is... I'm not going to do the Billy Madison song because I'm not good at it, but going back to school, I guess to prove to everyone, not just his dad, that he's not a fool. And it's off to a little bit of a rocky start based on his tweet asking for proofreading for an essay due at midnight the next day. And based on the spelling in the tweet, that proofreader is going to have a lot of work to do. So good luck.
Really bringing it down to the wire there. It's,
Can you imagine being that person like that he picks.
No.
Yeah, I figured you couldn't.
You could do that. You literally do this for a living. I
could make it happen. So hit me up, Antonio Brown. I got you.
Antonio Banderas too.
You know what? That would be some fantastic content. I would definitely make an appearance if that was the case. If I would make the appearance on that epic documentary that follows him, the one shot by the same crew that, handled the Gruden wiretap video. I would be a star on those videos. I would have some sick walk-up music to our tutoring session.
Here's what the U Cuties can do. You can make this happen with Antonio Brown. You know Sean's Twitter handle. You know his Instagram handle. Make it happen. Tweet at both of them. I don't know really how Twitter works. I never use it. Direct message Antonio Brown.
You don't know how
Sean's...
Twitter works. Are you kidding me? It's 2019. Get out of here with that BS.
That's really fucking rude with your hair, especially. I can't take you seriously at all. Shut
your
up.
hair is offensive.
That's just absurd.
Your hair is offensive right now. But yeah,
I know how to use Twitter.
I
I just don't use it to its fullest extent. That's what I meant by that.
Okay, fine.
Okay, is that okay with you?
That's
Dad?
acceptable. Move on.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. You fucking crazy person with your hair sticking up everywhere. That's all I got.
All right, well, let's get the UQDs to make that happen. I will, for free, offer my services to help Antonio Brown with his writing assignments for his English 300 level class. You know what? Kudos to him for going back to school and doing it. He's getting it done. He only spent 3 years in school, so he's clearly got at least another year to make up here and get his degree. And hats off to the guy. He's really challenging his brain muscle to the fullest here.
I haven't been following it that closely, but is he going to play in college?
No, he used up that eligibility already. That would be sick.
He doesn't have any more eligibility? I was going to say.
That would have been cool.
That would have been so cool.
Right?
I can't even imagine that right now. That would have been so weird. What school is he going to?
I think he's going to his old school. I think it's Central Michigan, I think.
Yeah.
Central Michigan. So yeah, he would have tore it up for that football team. People are taking shots at this guy for spelling, people including us, but let's be real. The guy is a genius in terms of football playing. Like, he understands the game of football. He knows, he's a genius in that sense of the word. So I think he can probably make it happen. I think he can learn.
He knows how to catch the ball.
Exactly.
Yeah. It'd be funny if he
catch the ball.
It'd be funny if he joined a rec league.
Oh, I'm sure he will at some point. That's going to be incredible.
Just absolutely destroy some locals.
I'm just waiting for him to be at a New York sports club or whatever sports club he has there, wherever he is, and playing pickup basketball and bitching at someone for
yeah, Le'Veon Bell did that. I feel like that's the go-to for that
yeah.
The 2018 or 2017 Steelers offense. That's the go-to move, and then we'll see Big Ben in the LA Fitness shooting basketball hoops at some point.
Probably breaking his other elbow.
Oh yeah, let's talk about some guys before we get to our the people joining him on the injured list here. Let's talk about some guys that went off in Week 4, Scott, because I think it was a little bit of a bounce back week overall. So who did you like the most in Week 4? Or who are you the most surprised by?
Yes, most surprised by, I'll go quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Quarterback, Matt Stafford, Jameis Winston, and Aaron Rodgers. These guys have all had kind of tumultuous seasons, ups and downs, constantly, also dating back to last year. Jameis Winston's in a contract year, so this is a big one for him, if they're going to re-sign him or not. Aaron Rodgers, people always talk about greatest of all time, best of all time, but he's kind of, some people say he's overrated and doesn't take calculated risks, but Thursday he played amazing, over 400 yards. And then Matt Stafford is having a sort of a renaissance season with that, and that Lions team looks really, really good. They look scrappy. They almost took it to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm kind of changing my guard a little bit on the Lions. I'm still skeptical, but they look like they're a legit playoff contender. Like,
they do.
Not like winning the NFC contender, but I could easily see them making the playoffs. I could actually see any of the 4 teams in that division making the playoffs. So, maybe down the stretch they fall off a little bit because they have to play the Bears defense and the Packers and their defense and Aaron Rodgers and the Vikings, who are still pretty good, but actually might be the worst team in that division, which is insane to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That is one of the most prolific divisions right now in football. And then running back, we had Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb, who went off. That Browns team finally looked manageable and serviceable, and it's because they ran so much. And dating back to 29 games ago, the Ravens have never let up more than 160 yards rushing. This Ravens defense is not the same as it used to be. So it's the first game that they've let up a 160-yard rusher, and Nick Chubb was the guy to do it. And then Austin Eckler, this is probably the last week this is definitely the last week. He'll be the bell cow because Melvin Gordon's coming back, but fantastic showing. Yeah, it was the lowly Dolphins, but still good to see.
Yeah, and even I think this guy Troy Maine Pope vultured a touchdown, so that day could have been even bigger. And it just leads me to think that once Melvin's back, him and Austin Eckler can coexist and both be fantasy relevant,
just like last year.
Exactly. So not all is lost for you Eckler owners that are panicking out there. Keep plugging him in your lineup because I think he's definitely going to be startable the rest of the year because he's clearly a very talented player. So I'm still in on Austin Eckler.
Definitely. Chris Godwin, Robert Woods, Devontae Adams finally had some solid games. I mean, Chris Godwin has shown it already this year, but 2 touchdowns over 140 yards, was it? Just crazy. He looked like the number 1 target, but it's anyone's guess who the number 1 target is week to week there between him and Mike Evans. Robert Woods, finally 13 catches, little coming out party, like we said.
Are you ready for my sigh of relief?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
That's a good sigh right there. Yeah.
Oh, it was so needed for me as a Woods owner in 2 leagues. I just decided to stick it out. I debated starting Marvin Jones over him, didn't, and I was rewarded handsomely. Robert Woods, welcome back. Let's go.
Welcome back. Him and Devontae Adams, tough injury, turf toe, but should be good next week and moving forward. And then Austin Hooper, he's having a really productive season too. I mean, that team is brutal, more brutal than we thought it would be, but nonetheless, Austin Hooper, pretty good showing there too.
It's funny you mentioned Devontae Adams. He was, in my mind, far and away the most scary fantasy injury this week because he was going bananas on Thursday Night Football until he got that little turf toe injury. So he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. I don't think that's like a long term. He's going to miss a bunch of weeks type of injury, but for the next couple of weeks, he might be questionable or doubtful leading up to game time, and you're going to have to monitor that. But thankfully, it doesn't look like it's a super significant injury, unlike this Mitchell Trubisky injury. Scott, how do we feel about Mitch probably missing significant time? He was in a sling in the second half, which is never a good look. Does that actually help the Bears offense?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I don't think it necessarily helps, but I don't think it hurts as much as we think. I mean, Chase Daniel is one of the top backup quarterbacks. He's always been a pretty good backup in Andy Reid's system back in the day with like the Chiefs and Eagles, and now with the Bears. He had a couple games last year where he was very serviceable and had stats similar to Trubisky. Not the rushing attack and the rushing chops, but that big game against the Giants last year where it was like 38-35. Like Chase Daniel was the guy that was, bringing them close to that win. So I think it helps. I think it helps Tariq Cohen. He's had some really solid games with Daniel at the helm, but I don't think it hurts that much. Otherwise, no.
All right, good to know. I'm kind of out on Mitch, as you well know, and I'm kind of excited about what this Bears team could look like with just consistency of the quarterback.
They're solid. Yeah.
Maybe the ceiling's a little bit lower, but I think the floor might be much higher, which is nice. Let's talk about another high ceiling, low floor quarterback in Josh Allen, who took a vicious hit in the Patriots game. Like, it's one of those hits where you go, okay, like his whole helmet shook when he got hit straight in the face. He is definitely concussed. I hope he takes the amount of time he needs off because you don't want to mess around with that stuff. And it's really a shame because he, as much as I don't like our division rivals, he's really fun to watch. So this kind of sucks for the Josh Allen owners out there.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing you rely on him for is his rushing ability. For the regular season passing, he has 903 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So he had 3, and it was the Patriots. But like passing wise, he hasn't really progressed as a passer. So like, yeah, he's really important to that team. But statistically, you could probably find a Jimmy G on your waiver. Gardner Minshew, who we'll talk about in a little bit, and you could maybe get the same. I mean, Josh Allen killed you the other day. If he didn't get that rushing score, like he would have killed you.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing with fire. Look, he's the perfect Buffalo Bills quarterback. That's all I could say about him.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good way
to put it. You know what you're dealing with there. Let's talk about some quick running back injuries. Jamal Williams, Marlon Mack. Obviously, Mack's worth more than Williams to owners out there. I don't even know what to really think of this injury yet, but the Colts didn't have it this week.
No,
so my eyebrows raised. We knew that there was going to be. People were riding high on the Jacoby Brissett train. Look, I think he's really effing good, but he's not Andrew Luck. So there's going to be weeks where the Colts just kind of disappoint, and Mac's injury is just another piece of that week. This week, Scott, what do you think? I know you're a big Mac owner this year.
I love Mac. Yeah, he's one of the few like bell cow backs. I think he had the most rushes up until before through 3 weeks before week 4 started. Brissett, he's been a really admirable backup, and he's actually a good pickup. Throughout, we put him on our waiver wire pickups like 2 weeks ago. I think that defense is just brutal. Honestly, that Malik Hooker is a good safety in the back, but they have no. Besides, they have no other really solid standout defensive players. So that hurts the running game, right? Defense is supposed to stop, and then you're supposed to stretch the clock with a running game. So I don't know. That team is just just very middling right now. Wide receiver injuries, we got Jarvis Landry, Devontae Adams, obviously, as we said. Terry McLaurin was ruled out for Sunday, and then TJ Hawkinson, who got a concussion as well. I think Landry's in the concussion protocol as well as Hawkinson, so you got to check their status. Terry McLaurin, that was tough. Yeah, tough. That's always a tough injury because it's soft tissue, and you never know how it's going to react. So just keep on monitoring those trends and those injuries there.
All right, let's look big picture here. Defenses this year are brutal, unless you're the Patriots. Like, we thought the Broncos would be good. They just lost Bradley Chubb with an ACL injury, and they are really bad. so bad that the Joe Flacco signing instantly looks like maybe the worst contract in the NFL, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
The Ravens got torched by the Browns this week. The Chargers, without Derwin James, they're just not even close to being the same level as they were last year. Defenses overall, I'm not impressed. I don't really see. I mean, I typically stream fantasy defenses, and it's been
hard.
It's been tough sledding. If you can't get the team that's playing the Dolphins, you're in big trouble because it's impossible to predict what's going to happen.
Or the Redskins. But people were picking up the Giants defense last week. Giants defense is it's not that good either.
Yeah,
so that's a tough stream. But that's kind of what you have to do this year. I think tight end, defense, and kicker are all kind of brutal this year. Adam Vinatieri, Kaimi Fairbairn, those guys we thought would be good coming into the year, been terrible.
Yeah, and I would just say fantasy football in general sucks. I mean, I'm now. I think I'm 2-2 in every league, and it's just I feel like I'm the AFC South. That's me this year.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't even want to get into my record because it's so putrid. I'll just say this: my 7 leagues last year, I did well in 4 of them to get to the finals. I lost in 3 of them. The 3 that I lost in, I have gone combined 1-8 in the first 3 weeks. I have the most points against.
Oh,
by far,
that's always the worst.
In
that's
all
always
3.
The worst.
And and then there's something else that was bullshit. I don't remember. Oh, yeah, I don't know. That was so in the last 4 weeks of these matchups, I've gone 1-11.
Oh no!
Basically,
that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. Let's talk about one thing I learned about drafting based on QB wide receiver chemistry is that it's dumb. Right, D.D. Westbrook and Nick Foles. We touted all offseason about their chemistry and how good they are together. Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson, they had great chemistry at the end of the year and in the offseason. Jimmy Garoppolo and Dante Pettis, Cam Newton and DJ Moore, and look what those tandems have done. Literally nothing. D.D. Westbrook was a 7th rounder, 8th rounder, so I'm never going to draft on that again. That's something I learned over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, another thing you could kind of do to look at the flip side is we're quarterway through the season. So it's time to start projecting the totals we've seen so far out to a full year. For example, if you took Pat Mahomes' numbers and you project them out to a full year, you'd see some crazy numbers, but you'd be like, it makes sense. Makes sense. I get it. Other guys let's say Terry McLaurin played and had another great game this week. You project that out. Is he really going to score 18 touchdowns? Is he really going to have 1,600 yards? No, it's not happening. So that's how you can kind of look at what's happening so far and kind of project what is real and what's not, and what is something that you can count on coming back down to earth, and someone like Nick Chubb, perhaps, that you say, okay, it's been 3 weeks. He hasn't gotten to the end zone enough yet. He hasn't had his big game yet, but I think he's going to end the year with 1,400 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns. And if he's way under that, you don't trade him away, and you hang on and you wait for him to bounce back, and you get games like this past week, and you're good to go.
Yep. Robert Woods, 0 touchdowns. Chris Godwin, 5 or 4. He's projected to get 18 touchdowns, 16 touchdowns. It's not going to happen. Robert Woods is not going to end the year with 0 touchdowns. So those are guys to buy low or sell high on. Yeah, I love that.
Okay, let's get to our recap segments for week 4. First up, our hashtag canceled, turn down the music, player of the week. We got a lot of nominees this week.
Love this
Scott.
part.
In terms of someone that we could probably write off, that we probably should have written off sooner, especially when I dropped him at 4:53 a.m. a couple weeks ago, Adrian Peterson, you're canceled. I'm sorry. It's been a really fun career. You're done. And I'm going to throw one other name out into the ether. Vontaze Burfict.
Ugh.
Should never play football again.
Wow. He's had 13 fines in his career in 6 seasons, 7 seasons. I'm not even joking. I read that stat today. It's 13 fines or illegal hits.
At what point does he lose
ridiculous.
money playing football?
Maybe this year. I don't know. That's ridiculous. I'll throw one other name into the ether here. I don't want to do it, but Mikey Williams, Big Mike Williams. out this week
Yeah.
with a back
What's
injury after having a groin injury all year or thigh injury, whatever. Come on, man. You're like not helping. Help me out.
He's a little like early career Sammy Watkins-ish to me. Like he kind of looks like him. Same school, always injured,
right.
dripping with potential. So much fun to watch. Never on the field. Hopefully he could turn it around because
I don't know. It's not.
I
looking
really like the player.
It's not looking good right now. Regression to the mean. What he had 11 touchdowns last year. Should have known he's not going to get 11 again.
Yeah. Damn.
He's not canceled yet. He's not canceled yet, but he's getting close. I don't know why I said it like that.
No, I appreciated it. That was nice. All right. Let's move on to our fantasy hangover. These are hangovers that thankfully I was able to avoid and help others avoid this week. Just toot my own horn there. Benching Chris Godwin because, you're worried about the injury this week, or Robert Woods because it was really tempting. I was tempted myself. I avoided the Woods benching, and on the Flex Friday rankings, I kept saying stick with Godwin even if he's hurt. Just plug him in, ride the Godwin wave, and hopefully you didn't bench either of those guys, because if you did, this is the type of hangover where you wake up and you look at your phone and you see those drunk dials.
Ooh.
And you go, what did I say last night? What did I do?
Texts.
Yeah, this is the drunk text version of our fantasy hangover here, because both of those guys went bonkers.
Yeah. Yep. And no touchdowns for Robert Woods, but when Jared Goff is throwing it 64 times, the hope is that Robert Woods would have gotten 13, 14 catches of those, and he did. So that's good to see. Let's talk about the beauty sleepers check-in. Yours is still looking good. Lamar Jackson, Austin Eckler, Anthony Miller, that's, whatever. Mark Andrews, and then Ito Smith. Running game is weird in Atlanta, but overall, those are pretty slam dunk hits there. I got Sam Darnold, so that sucks. Kalen Ballage, that sucks also. Curtis Samuel sucked this week. Austin Hooper was good, and then Devin Singletary was out. Good. So that's good. And then Rob. Oh, Rob, you want to talk about your beauty sleeper quarterback? No. Okay. Well, it's the Browns wide receivers, and Odell had a bomb of a throw this week, but no one caught it.
And he stepped up in the pocket. He looked like a quarterback.
He did.
It speaks for itself. That's why I made the ultimate prediction, and it came true.
It almost came true.
Close to it. It's like, it's an incompletion still.
Sorry, I don't speak to peasants.
Okay.
Well, you sound like Freddie Kitchens talking to Bob Wiley when he fired him in the offseason. Your beauty sleeper bonus pick, Bob Wiley.
That's a messed up
Guess what?
story.
You're fired from the pod.
You know what? I'm done with Freddie Kitchens because you don't fire Bob Wiley over nothing.
Yep.
That's true.
True. Very true.
You don't. First of all, there's two entities. There's Bob Wiley, and then there's Bob Wiley's belly. So if you fire one, you got to fire the other.
It's true. They're a package deal.
They stick up for each other.
So there's the ghost of the belly haunting the Browns the first couple weeks. We are drawing a line in the sand here. Freddie Kitchens, find us in the channels because we would like to have a word with you about our friend Bob.
Sir.
Okay, it's by the dip time here. And I can't wait for this one. This might be my favorite dip. Guacamole.
Yeah,
Period.
Sean's a guac freak.
Big guac guy.
Love guacamole. And the preferred
Slut
vehicle.
for guac.
The preferred vehicle for consumption is the straight up tortilla chip. Period. There's nothing else to add here. How do you guys feel about guacamole?
It's
I would
extra.
say that.
I don't know if you knew that. It's extra.
I would say that guac, when it's done right, is incredible. But there's been plenty of guac in my life that's just been an absolute disgrace. And the other thing I'll say is that it also is highly dependent on the chip.
Ooh, okay.
Chipotle's chips go very well with guac.
I agree with
very
that.
Salty. Very salty.
Yeah,
But your typical tortilla chip, like a Tostito, does not go that great with guac.
Oh, I disagree.
What I think that Chipotle has going on with their chips is that they're greasier and they're saltier.
Okay.
And they're like more raw. You know what I mean?
They're more raw.
I love a
That's the
raw
first
chip.
time I've heard of that. Nice
I like
raw chip.
I like my chips raw and uncut. And that's what Chipotle does. And I think that the grease and the salt together go better with the guac because they have that acidity to them.
Ooh.
Now I'm just
Acidity.
saying words.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You're saying buzzwords and seeing.
I'm just saying buzzwords. Salt, fat, acid, heat. You know what I'm saying? It's the four
lime,
elements.
acid, acidity.
It's the four elements of the Big Bang Theory. So
I will
for
say
that reason, I'm out.
I will say that. Thanks for that. I will say that guac, like not homemade, handmade. Like when they like take the avocados in front of you at the restaurant,
Tableside. Oh yeah,
tableside. That's the best. But then sister of the pod just showed me like a carton of it. She's eating guac right now. I think that's like gross guac. This is Trader Joe's reduced guilt chunky guacamole. That's a weird way to describe it. Chunky. Ew, it has Greek yogurt in it.
Oh no!
Oh, God,
that hits
hits different.
That's a whole different dip entirely. It's not even
That's-
guac at that point.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Full of
Ew.
guilt.
Full of
This is
guilt.
Greek yogurt dip.
Guilt. It's guilty. It's been deemed guilty.
Guilt.
That's Greek yogurt with
Guiltful.
avocado dip right there.
Yeah, a lot of those prepared guacs that I feel like you guys are referencing, I feel like they throw like garlic and like extra lime juice in there, and
I
that's
smell
just-
garlic right now. Yep,
That's just
definitely.
that's not what I'm about. Garlic should have no place in guac. It should just be avocado, onion, jalapeno, maybe a little tomato if you feel it, and
Or
cilantro.
get it out.
And some cilantro, maybe a little bit of lime juice. And
I
that's
love
about
that.
it.
That sounds good.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
I will drop my guac recipe in the channels this week because it's actually probably my specialty in the kitchen. So I'm in there. I got
You do
that.
make a mean guac. Friendsgiving made a mean guac.
I made like 15 avocados worth of guac that day.
Yeah, you did.
And we
That's
ate like a quarter of it.
That was way too much. That's what Friendsgiving's for.
That's why you
Send
gotta
us-
that's why you gotta buy the dip.
Mm-hmm.
Buy the dip or make the dip. Send us a
Oh.
DM and we'll send you Sean's guac recipe. And at the end of the season, after all of these dips, we're going to create a unqualified cookbook.
UQ
I actually
cook-
love that.
And then you can literally buy the dip.
You can literally buy the dip.
That's a great idea. Let's look at some guys we can buy the dip on here in fantasy football terms. And I'm going to start with a guy that I kind of had in the back of my mind all year. He was on Kansas City. It didn't look great for him. And then he got cut. And then he went up on Houston. And he's looking kind of good right now. Carlos Hyde. Buy on Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, it's a mark of consistency. He's getting between 7 and 10 points a week. So it's nothing flashy, but he's getting most of the work, honestly, because Duke Johnson is just not an every down guy, which we said going into the season. Another guy I like is David Montgomery. He's getting almost all the work. And now with Chase Daniel, teams probably don't know him as much. He actually has a better propensity to throw it down the field than Mitch Trubisky, which will open things up, open some running lanes up. So I like David Montgomery coming up too.
Yeah, I would definitely buy on both those guys. And maybe you could throw Miles Sanders in there too. I do think we have a little
He's
bit
annoying
of
me.
Well, I think we have a little bit of a last year's Aaron Jones type thing going on there in Philly, and I think eventually he will seize that backfield. I don't think Jordan Howard's 3-touchdown game is for real. We'll talk about him in a minute, but I just think that's kind of a fluky game for him. Guys that you do want to buy, though, right now, the Arizona Cardinals wide receivers, because Kyler Murray is legit, and he's getting the ball to Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk, and they're still kind of flying under the radar. So I like both those guys. I would also throw Adam Thielen into the mix there. Clearly the wide receiver 1 in Minnesota.
Yeah, and the reason for these three is because they're oozing with upside, and they've been getting the target share, and they've been running routes consistently, but they're just not producing high end like wide receiver 2 or 3 numbers right now. So Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk got hurt this past week, but and Kyler Murray didn't look as good this past week as he did the previous 3 weeks, basically. But it's eventually going to turn around. The Vikings passing offense, like, I don't know what's going on with it. I guess it's sort of similar to Tampa Bay offense, where like it's every other week who's going to do well in terms of wide receivers. But I mean, Adam Thielen, I would trust him way more than Diggs. And if there's a frustrated owner right now, I'll try to snag him in a second. So some other pass catchers too that might be frustrated with their tight end production or lack thereof is Zach Ertz and George Kittle owners. I think Kittle is going to absolutely eat this upcoming week with the 49ers off the bye. You have to think they'll figure it out a little bit. And they're playing the Browns, which just seeded Mark Andrews a touchdown. And even the Rams, like, tight ends had some value against the Browns as a tight end. So I think this is gonna be like a top 3 week for him.
I would even throw Travis Kelce into that spot as well. Like, he hasn't had his bananas, like, I'm going crazy and I'm clearly the best tight end in the league week yet.
Yeah.
And that is coming. It probably is coming sooner rather than later. I'm foreseeing a Nick Chubb type resurgence from Kelce. So you might, if you can, kind of pry him away from a frustrated owner ASAP, because it's not going to last long.
Let's talk about some waiver guys who's sticking around, who's fizzling out. There's not that many this week. I mean, most of the guys have gotten picked up. Jordan Howard looks like he's sticking around. 3 touchdowns is a little fluky, but it was against a good defense, so good to see. And he's getting a little bit more carries and work than Miles Sanders. Ronald Jones, this guy's now had over 75 yards in 3, or over 70 yards in 3 out of 4 games. So pick him up, start playing him. What do you think?
He is the number 1 ranked Pro Football Focus running back this year overall in the entire NFL. Yep, it's like he's number 1. I forget who number 2 is, and then 3rd is Eckler. I think 2 is Dalvin Cook. 2 is Dalvin Cook. So that tells you how efficient he's been when he's actually getting the ball. So yeah, I would definitely pick him up. I mean, as soon as Dirk Kotter leaves the offense, the running back starts to produce. It makes sense to me.
Who knew?
Makes sense.
Yep. Wayne Gallman sticking around for now, but sell him high to some Saquon Barkley owners, I would say. 2 touchdowns this past week, 3 in the year. He had a really good game against the Redskins. But it's time. It's perfect time to sell him high. It's the Redskins. Yeah,
I just don't think he's that good of a player, so that's why I would sell him high as well. Like, there's a little bit of a James Conner-ish situation there, where like he's not that good. He's in a decent situation, makes him look great. Get out while you can. Get out while you can, because you can get some nice value by trading him away right now.
Yep, for sure. Let's talk about shrewd move for the week before we move on, and then we'll talk about sell high really quick. Shrewd move. I think this is the time now. It's 4 weeks in. You got to pick up guys for the middle portion of the season, which can catapult you into the playoffs. So look at some defensive schedules, but look to the waivers for, might be a little too early for Kareem Hunt. Maybe Chris Herndon, who's coming back from suspension after 1 more week. Golden Tate, who was suspended for a couple weeks. Michael Gallup, who was injured. Tevin Coleman, David Njoku, who will come back at the end of the season. And then look to buy low on maybe some Melvin Gordon, Tyreek Hill, guys like that. So that's the shrewd move of the week. Look to the middle pack of the middle weeks, like 5 to 10, because that could catapult you. Maybe you started 1 and 3. You have 5 straight wins. You're looking pretty.
Yeah, and with all those guys, the biggest thing that they all have in common is that you need to have the roster flexibility to hold them. Like, you can't go out and pick up Kareem Hunt this week and Chris Herndon and not play him, and pick up like Michael Gallup and he's not back in the lineup yet. Like, you probably need at least 3 or 4 of those spots to roster a good team over the bye weeks. So don't go nuts, but like, if you have an empty space at the end of your bench and you see Kareem Hunt there and you want to make sure you get him, or you are struggling at tight end and you see Chris Herndon coming back and you're like, I kind of think he might be good, get him a week early, because that could be the difference between you kicking yourself when your tight end scores like 2 points a week and feeling good about Chris Herndon. So I love that strategy right there. One more strategy here for us is to sell high Patriots defense. Look, I think I've traded away the top fantasy defense in like almost every year that I've had one. So for example, I had the Vikings defense like 3 or 4 years ago when they were like out of this world, and I traded them away for Matt Ryan, who won the MVP that same year. So trade your defense. You can still stream them.
Yeah, definitely. And look at their schedule. Week 5 at the Redskins. Week 6 versus the Giants at home. Week 7 at the Jets. Week 8 versus the Browns. So that's kind of a tough one, but not that tough. Week 9 at the Ravens. Week 10 is their bye. So you get 9 solid weeks like that, and then sell them after their bye, because then their schedule gets tough. Week 11 is at the Eagles. 12 is versus the Cowboys. Week 13 is at the Texans. Week 14 is versus the Chiefs. 15 is at the Bengals. 16 versus the Bills. So that's a tough schedule. So perfect time to sell them is like
right after the Jets game.
Yeah.
Right after the Browns game, if not.
Yeah, exactly.
And get as much as you can, because defenses at the end of the day are totally random. So you're kind of just you're just risking it all by hanging on to them.
All right, let's talk about Thursday Night Football, the preview. We got the Rams at the Seahawks. Great divisional matchup here. Seahawks are looking like one of the best teams in the NFC right now. The NFC is kind of wide open with the Saints having some injuries, like Drew Brees, the Rams just losing to the Bucks somehow. The Seahawks are looking really solid. This is a pick 'em. So what are we thinking here? No line.
I'm a noted Rams lover here. But the Seahawks are really impressive. I think the most impressive part of that team for me is Tyler Lockett. I didn't think that he was like going to emerge as like a legit number one option, but he is absolutely a legit number one option for that passing offense. Russell Wilson can make a stud out of anybody, but Lockett is immensely talented, and I really like watching them play. So this game is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think the Thursday night schedule has been incredible. It's been so much better than the Monday night schedule. So I can't wait to watch this game. That being said, the Rams going to Seattle, the Rams aren't looking great. I mean, obviously they just like kind of, imploded in the first half against the Bucs and then had to play catch up the whole rest of the game. I mean, I love Cooper Kupp. I love Robert Woods. I love Brandon Cooks. Gurley is not the same, and I think that's the key here. I think that is actually more important to this team than how Goff plays, and Gurley is clearly not the same guy. He's not bad. He's still good, but he's not the same guy. And for that reason, the Rams just aren't as scary anymore. I think I would take the Seahawks here at home. I think they're going to win this game.
Yeah, I like that too. I think the Rams losing at home to the Bucs is not a good look, and there's something off about Jared Goff this year, and I can't really put my finger on it. 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Completion percentage is fine. His passer rating is okay, but significant drop off from last year, and I don't know if it's the Super Bowl hangover or what it is, but there's something going on.
I know it. I've been studying them a lot because, like I said, I'm a noted Rams lover here. I think the biggest thing here is that there's more pressure on Jared Goff to drop back and throw the ball. I saw Dan Orlovsky, who might be the best football follow on Twitter. If for those of you that are looking for some inside info, he basically broke this down and said the Rams are making Jared Goff a drop back quarterback, and that's exactly what he did his rookie year and when he struggled so much. He was so great.
He needs to be
a shotgun, or he's going to play action. It's one or the other, and there's no 7-step drop, make a decision in 2 seconds. Like, he has time to read the field pre-snap, catch a shotgun snap and throw it, or he gets the play action where his reads are simple. When he has to sit back and diagnose a defense, he's not yet capable of doing that. And I think that Gurley not being as good is the most damning part of this for the Rams, because let's be real, he was the best offensive player in football for the past 3 years, and now he's not anymore. And I think that people are freaking out about Goff, but I think it has more to do with Gurley than it does with Goff. I think Goff's the same guy. He's just being asked to do more this year.
That's such a good point. Yeah, play action is only as powerful as the running game behind it.
So for that reason, the Seahawks, defending their home turf, I think they got this one in the bag.
And that does it for Week 4 recap. Thanks for listening, as always. Check the Instagram stories. We've been trying to kill it and give our UQD something to look forward to. We got Tuesdays, waiver wire, Fridays, Flex Friday, Sunday, emergency Sunday / dumpster dive Sunday. So keep on checking the channels.
And people, get out there, get word out to our new boy, Antonio Brown.
And Antonio Banderas.
I'm being serious here. I'm legit, my legit job is a writing instructor out of college. So
I'm not kidding.
So I'm the right man for this job, and somebody just put us in contact, and it would be great for content. It would be great for his English grade. Let's make this thing happen.
Let's do this thing.
And let's live Moss.